Greetings and welcome. You're in the zone, the Biz Info Zone, where you, the savvy social entrepreneur, can express your purpose, plan your next moves, and take your business and your life into the realm of prosperity. Now, part of that is a little bit of implementation. And we're going to be talking about that implementation phase today, where, it's difficult to implement something that you either don't have any tools in order to help you with that implementation process, or you don't know where to find those tools. And I want to make sure that you not only have the source to find those tools, but have the source, the resource, and the opportunity to use them. Because we're going to bring you all of that in today's show. Hi there, my name is V. Lynn Hawkins, and I am your host today in the Biz Info Zone. I'm the founder and dean of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, where we help social entrepreneurs do more in the world by doing more in their business, earning more revenue, and thus doing even more in the world. My guest today is Matt Perelstein. And let me tell you about this guy, because from the first time I met him, I was just totally amazed, not just by the work that he does, but the contribution that he has made over the past 30 years to the world of personal development. Matt is called an EQ advocate, and he's been that type of advocate of personal development and personal growth for over 30 years, or for at least the last 30 years. He's a highly regarded teacher in training in the field and has really watched this particular premise to evolve into what he is focusing on, called EQ. That's emotional intelligence. And to see EQ emerge into a level of consciousness that focuses on the benefit of children, of parents, of grandparents, of teams, of leaders, of teams to leaders of nations and entrepreneurs. So we're going to talk today about how EQ is quickly growing to become a more recognized term, more, how you call it, a household term in teaching venues all around the world. And now Matt is really focusing this work with specifically identifying entrepreneurs, because they are the parents and the leaders, the community leaders, the political leaders, the people who are at the forefront of a lot of the things that we're doing and a lot of change that's coming about. So addressing this kind of training to entrepreneurs is something that's going to help to identify some of the issues that successful and struggling entrepreneurs will recognize and be able to get help to resolve. It amazes me how EQ has been reported. I mean, true statistics stand behind the fact that EQ can be used to correct. And I say correct because it's all a place that we've kind of moved into that's been off the path. And now we get an opportunity to correct that movement and correct the issues of depression and suicide and addictions and PTSD and blank spaces and some of the challenges that even high performance individuals face. Suicide and addictions have been something that I've been focusing on, especially as it relates to bullying. So we could even add bullying to the list. What creates a bully, or what has happened to help create a bully? And some of the things that we're going to talk about today are things that will help you to understand that EQ may be the solution that you've been looking for. So Matt, welcome to today's show. Thanks for being here with me today.
Well, thank you. All right, Lynn, how are you doing?
I'm
good this morning.
Well, great. I just am so grateful for the work that you're doing, and we'll be talking about this a little later because, uh, I get these messages, and I've learned to listen to them. I am committed to listening to them because they've proved to be very valuable for me. One of the reasons that the BIZ Info Zone was created and is because of one of the downloads that I got. And I just got another one that I am to learn more about EQ. So consider me a student, and I'm one who asks a lot of questions. So let's just jump right in. Tell our audience, what is EQ? We hear this term, we're thinking we know, but what is EQ?
Actually, a lot of people have never heard the term. So what I like to ask people is, have you ever heard the term emotional intelligence? And it's a great conversation starter, by the way. And if you're in a conversation, it brings it to kind of a whole new level because people go, emotional intelligence? And they go, yeah, just being smart about your feelings is stuff that we don't learn in school. We learn lots of cool stuff about how to get a job and how to be logical and how to make sense and that sort of thing. But we don't learn some of a lot of the other side of our brain. We focus on the left brain and we don't focus that much on the right brain. So what we're finding is that adding emotional intelligence to your already intellectual intelligence, IQ plus EQ, can make some amazing differences in so many areas of life. And I think that you've touched on some. I mean, all the way from personal growth and being able to be a better person, being able to be happier, being able to be more successful, to motivate yourself, to understand yourself, to control yourself a bit, to discipline yourself, to all that good stuff of self-knowledge, to making relationships, making community, making this our country work, making our world work, all the way up. So starting from I call it, changing the world from the inside out, because that's what it boils down to.
I love that thinking because changing the world from the inside out actually looks to me like it starts with you, right?
That's right, it does indeed. And it starts with everybody getting along, being our head and our heart. Like I said, in school we learn a lot about our head and about specifically the left brain part of that. You see how it's split in half. There, we focus on the left brain. We're a pretty much left brain society, and but we don't focus much on the right brain and our heart part of it. So adding that to it gives us a whole different perspective on things.
Mm-hmm. So tell us what it is we're looking at. I love it.
Alrighty.
That cup of coffee that they were sharing together. I look at things in sort of in the esoterical realm, and that picture spoke a lot to me about the whole concept of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep, and to continue that thought, yeah, alignment is also about aligning the different parts of our brain. This is kind of how it works. This is a cool picture, I think, is it shows that your left brain, if you're not aware of it, the left brain is a logical, sequential, knowledge, information, things make sense, rules, that sort of thing, all are on our left brain. And that's, basically, like I said, what we focus on in school and at home. And what is not covered so well is our right brain, and you see over here, woo, and that's kind of how it is. That's the feelings, our passion, our creativity, our ability to think more than one thing at a time, our feelings, our soul, if you will. It kind of a combination. And some people talk about competing. Is the right brain more important or is the left brain more important? They're both important. They're both important. We're not suggesting that we are, your emotions are more important than your intellect. They're not. They're as important, and they don't. If you too high on one side and too low on the other side, it doesn't work very well. The balance and the integration, like you said, doesn't work very well. So we're talking about making balance, and I'll talk about some of the effects of doing that in a minute. So, yeah. Add them together.
It's amazing. What, we started this with the thinking about alignment. Um, is it possible that the left brain and the right brain can be aligned? And what does that look like? What does that feel like?
Very definitely. Behind every single thought or every single action that we do, every single thing we do, every decision that we make is at least one thought and at least one feeling. So we're pretty aware of the thoughts pretty well. We can talk about them and we understand them and that sort of thing. But we don't focus as much on the feeling part of it. And the feeling part is, some people are saying that the feeling part actually in our decision-making process is more important. But again, it doesn't matter. It matters that we add both, that we are aware of integrating our thoughts and our feelings into our decisions. You've probably known people who are smart as heck, but they make stupid decisions, or they keep making the same mistakes over and over again, or they can't really function very well. They're really smart, they got a real high IQ, but their EQ is not so great. So that's what we're talking about, integrating these together.
Okay.
So this is, again, a little better fun slide about all the differences between your left brain and your right brain. And again, you want to add passion and freedom and creativity and peace and all that to our logic. We're probably, if you're in business by yourself, then you probably, or for yourself, you probably have maybe a pretty good balance, because you've got to be logical and do things correctly, and then you also have to have some right brain communication skills, ability to motivate yourself, passion for what you're doing, creativity and how you present it, all that good stuff. So I think that the entrepreneurs are a beautiful way to balance all this and make huge differences in ourselves, in the world. It's ourselves, because I got 4 businesses. You guys, Lynn has a couple, and we're entrepreneurs as well, and trying like everybody else to succeed and do things right and balance everything. So yeah.
Yeah, it's key. Amazing. So you mentioned balance, and I've heard people talk about balance as it relates to the brain, balance as it relates to thinking, balanced thinking, that left brain, right brain collaboration. Um,
Mhm.
when you think about using EQ to further the thinking process to get to that balanced place. How do you do that? What's the first step to getting in there?
Mhm. Well, I think the first step most always is awareness. Awareness is very definitely the first step. We can't do much of anything until we're aware of it. I mean, like, it's kind of a stupid statement, but you're like, okay, I can't make decisions on stuff I'm not aware of. I can't be proactive in things I'm not aware of. I can't do much of anything unless I'm aware of it. So being aware that our right brain and our left brain are both there, that our feelings and our thoughts are both there, and we need to be aware of both of them. Awareness is definitely the point, and that's what we're here today, going, hey, this is really important, you guys. Please be aware that what's happening inside of you, because it changes everything. Here's a slide that shows a bit about what some of the effects can be of integrating your head and your heart. It connects for leaders and enhances your ability to influence and engage your teams. These are personally and as an entrepreneur. In school, we're teaching kids in school now. It's called SEL, social and emotional learning, and that's what the academia calls it. But it's EQ, it's emotional intelligence, it's being smart about your feelings, it's having the kids be able to get along with each other, to care about each other, to become engaged in their own education, to care about themselves and other people, all that kind of thing. And we've been doing some huge research on this. There's it's now in hundreds and hundreds of schools across the United States. It is now legislatively imposed on school to have some forms of EQ training for kids. The bullying thing you mentioned earlier, the bullying initiative is, I hate to say it, but is one of the best things that's happened in the United States, in my opinion, because it has made people aware of this whole thing. So go ahead, you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I'm just agreeing with you. I am so ecstatic that they're doing something and promoting it, and even to the degree that people are developing apps that somebody is bullying you and no one steps up to help. There's apps that you can use that call for help. I mean, this is amazing how awareness is helping to eradicate some of this craziness.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's great. I mean, people are actually talking about their behaviors, and they're talking about what made them do what they're doing, and they're talking about what's going on inside of them that makes them do these things. Well, that stuff that's going on inside of you is called feelings. It's called thoughts and feelings and belief systems and meanings and attitudes and values and all that good stuff that now is normal conversation in school that wasn't too much before. And kids, when you teach this to kids, they go, oh, I love that. They just like, oh, okay, I got it. Usually, my experience with kids has been they're usually pretty darn easy to teach. They go, or they go, so, but they're real clear about it. The parents go, yeah, and then they kind of hear you and they kind of don't, and that sort of thing a lot of times. But kids are, yeah, okay, I got it. All right, I understand. So anyway,
at a more responsible level. But you know what? I hold that. Well, no, don't hold that slide up there, because I want people to understand exactly. We can see the passion that you exhibit in talking about this subject matter. How did you kind of roll into this? I mean, yes, you've been in it for quite a while, 3 decades, but what's your story that brought you to the place of really having identified with EQ being something that you wanted to help change the world with?
Well, my story is that I was a mess as a kid, and I figured out how to do it different, and now I'm doing it different, and now I'm screaming from the rooftops, hey, you guys, this is not that complicated. It's painful and it's difficult sometimes, but it's not complicated. It's super simple. It's life-changing. It's family-changing, all that good stuff. Our family was semi-close, but my dad was in the Air Force, and my mom was a nurse, and they tried. They loved each other and loved us, and they were not super abusive like some we've had. Oh man, we've heard some stories. I mean, all y'all can know stories of how horrible sometimes parents are to the kids, or the kids are to the parents, or whatever. And I didn't have huge trauma in my life as far as that goes, but one major thing that happened to me was that my dad was in the Air Force, like I said, and we moved all the time. We moved and moved and moved. And so I was either ripped away from people, from friends, from family, etc., or they were ripped away and they're gone. Either way, I'm left. I'm alone, and I'm not connected. So it messed me up. As a kid, I was a mess. I went to psychiatrist in 6th grade in Germany. And it was horrible. It was horrible leaving school to go to the psychiatrist. It was a horrible experience because he was one of those, I don't remember what the theory that he used, but it was one of those where they sit and wait for someone to talk. When you're ready, he'll talk. That's what he told my dad. Well, the problem is I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to talk, and so it didn't work. I would go to sleep. And so he was a complete waste of time. And he could have made such a difference in my life. So I still some there that I need to do with, I guess, which is fine. I mean, it's fine. But anyway, so I found out about some of this and changed it. What? Go.
Yeah, I was going to say he needs EQ so that he can help his patients a little better. Yeah, yeah.
Well, on that note, one of the things that I am fired up about is teaching therapists I have a partner, Doc Downing, that I've worked with for almost all that 30 years, and he's taught me a ton, and he's been a therapist for 35 years or better, and he's got, and I'll put up a link later for his book called Taking Control of Your Life: How to Increase Your EQ, and it's on Smashwords, and it's by donation only. You can have it for free if you want, or you can give them some, whatever you want. It's, you set the price. So I'll give that to you later. It's just a document, a PDF, and it's a beautiful book on explaining how this stuff works, how emotions are started from the beginning, how when as a kid we start off pretty clean, and then stuff happens to us, and we originally can deal with our emotions really well. Little babies are they just feel, wah, right? And then when they're done feeling, they stop. When everything's fine, they go back to being happy and peaceful, and usually, most kids, and cool. I mean, they're just fine. So what happens is trauma happens as we're growing up. Just stuff happens, whether somebody's moving or somebody's pounded on you or get, violated, or whatever happens to you. It could be one big thing or a whole bunch of little things. It's probably both. And then our feelings kind of go away because our parents don't know what to deal with them. They don't know how. They don't want to. They don't understand. They don't want to talk about it. They don't get it. They just go back to being happy, or go to your room, or I'll give you something to cry about, or all that crap that says don't feel, don't feel, don't feel, don't feel. And the kid's got all this stuff going on inside of them and going, what do I do with all this? What do I do with this? So you either shut it down, or you slam it down, or you avoid it, or you lie about it, or you deny it, or, all that kind of stuff. We don't know what to do with it. We just make up. We do the best we can with what we know. But if we could know more, we could do better. So, stuff happens. People's kids' EQ goes down in a hurry, and it can come back up if with some training and a little bit of understanding and a little bit of knowledge in how it all works. Kids can be very resilient, and so can we.
Amazing. Amazing. Now, I know that there are some steps as to stages of making your way through the EQ process. And we talked about awareness. Were you complete with giving us the information about awareness? And then I'd also like to get you, of course not, right? If you could shift your camera just a little bit, because you keep rolling off to the side over there. That way, yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
So yeah, well,
my butt.
finish telling us the information around awareness. I just finished another hangout, and one of the things that I shared was awareness really is the first stage of change in anything. And you said it. You can't change anything that you're not aware of. You don't know that there's a problem, or you don't know that it requires changing. And communication can help you get there. But if there is a lack of communication, and sometimes, there's no communication and you don't even realize that that's happening. So tell us a little bit more about what that's all about.
Alrighty. Okay, I have a slide here. I'm trying to get it up. Just a second.
Okay.
There it is. Okay. So 3 steps. Is awareness is first. You can't do anything unless you're aware of it first. And then second is acceptance. Is surprising that that a lot of times we have all these feelings, but we deny them, or we smash them down, or we go drink or eat or gamble or whatever, and we don't deal with them. We don't accept them. We don't allow them. We fight them. And you can accept them in 2 seconds, or you can fight them for the rest of your life. It's up to you. But acceptance very definitely is second, and third is, and the most, well, not most important, but the one that you get to do for the rest of your life is to take some action based on what you're feeling or not, which is a very important part of this. Sometimes we don't have to, but the feelings get really big, and it's better to express them in some ways, in safe ways, in sane ways, in in emotionally mature ways, that kind of thing. But sometimes it's not a good idea. Sometimes you told a story, Lena, a while back about how one of your customers kind of went off on you, and you felt like going off back on her, and you didn't. And it's better probably at that time. It turned out really well, but we can take action if we are understanding ourselves, and we can accept our own feelings. You were feeling all this stuff, but you decided not to take any action at that time. You go home and vent to your family, or you dump it, or you go to the gym, or whatever, kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Where you can take some action to release that stuff. But you don't have to do it with the customer. You don't have to do it really loud. You don't have to blame people. You don't have to be abusive. You don't have to do a bunch of other actions that you are not proud of. You can make conscious, calm, good actions. Good actions. Once you're aware and accepting.
That's you have to. You have to, because otherwise, who's being harmed most? It may look like it's the other person, but it's you. And so coming to that realization that the actions sometimes are for the benefit of somebody else, but who they really heal are you. I think we talked about even where you're expressing this pain and someone else gets hurt. There may be serious consequences behind that. Kids fighting in school. A kid falls and busts their head open on the side of the curb or a bench or something like that. And then, not only are you talking hospital bills, but there may be brain damage and all these other consequences that this kid, this person now has to live with. And it's tough. You gotta get to the place of resolve. And Cynthia mentioned to me, I was talking about resolving some things a while back, and she said, yes, resolve. And we know that those solvings, those solutions, sometimes need to be tweaked. So, tell us a little bit more about, how you process through this in order to, oh, you're ready. Yes, okay. Feelings go up and logic goes down, yes?
Yep, and we're in the midst of it. It's sometimes our all our feelings are happening, and all this stuff's going on inside, and we wanna, and we're gonna, I feel like, and right, all this stuff is going on. But that means your feelings are really high. Probably your logic is not so good at that moment. So one of the biggest EQ trainers in the world is called 6 Seconds. And the reason they're called 6 Seconds is they found that biologically and neuroscientifically, it takes at least 6 seconds for your feelings to, when they rise up, to dissipate at least a little bit, so that you can think again, because they come up like that sometimes, and they call it the main part of your brain that has feelings is called the amygdala, and it's called an amygdala hijack. That means that your feelings went up and they took over, and you are not in charge right now. You think you are, but here we go. And like you said, sometimes there's some serious consequences to taking action during that phase when it's real high feelings and not much logic. You might want to calm down just a little bit. Wait 6 seconds. You know that thing about counting to 10? It works. At least to 6. Keep your mouth shut for a sec, and then think about it, and then go.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I used to wonder, and then I practiced it, and I felt it work without really understanding it. But now to know that there's some real science behind it, it's like they've proven that that truly is something that works. It's like, yes, let's tell the world. So what's next?
Here's another important one. I think just that is about the acceptance, is allowing that yourself, that you feelings aren't good or bad. They just are. Some of them are more fun than others. Some of them are more uplifting, connecting. Some of them kind of pull you back inside. They're detracting, that kind of thing. Some people have trouble with the word positive and negatives. But because the reality is our feelings are information. They are energy in motion, emotion, energy in motion. They are a huge part of who we are. If we know, I got a slide on here, if you know who your feelings, if you know what you feel, you know who you are and what you want. And so, and you can make that happen much, much better than if you deny your feelings. And this applies to both entrepreneurs and anybody else, because like you said, if you can make logical decisions based on stuff that even when you're feeling real strongly, then you can much more likely to succeed. Here's another one. This is one of the ones that fires me up, though. Check this one out. Every dollar we've ever made, and every dollar we ever will make is based on a relationship with someone. Well, that means that you better be calm about it. You better have some sense of who you are and how to connect, which is a big part of EQ. And to be able to have positive relationships and to build trust. You ever heard that in your business? How important trust is?
Yes.
Absolutely, right? Yeah, yeah. It's about us trusting ourselves first, and then us trusting other people, trusting the universe, if you will, trusting that things are going to be okay, all that kind of good stuff. But it's all about relationships, and the relationships are based on our feelings and our thoughts. So it's a heck of a good thing to understand and to focus on, in my opinion.
It is, and thank you for sharing that. You know, how did EQ come about? What you know, you've been doing personal development for 30 years. When was it that somebody said this thing is emotional intelligence? This thing is EQ.
Wow, I should do a slide on that. But there's a fellow named Daniel Goleman, which you may have heard his name or not, but he wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence: Why It Can Matter More Than IQ, which, okay, anyway, it was a groundbreaking book. It was in 1995 that he wrote it. I mean, people have been doing personal growth before that, but it wasn't, he kind of coined the term emotional intelligence, and people go, oh, people kind of get it when you say that. You have IQ, right? It's on your left brain. Well, there's more to it. There's a right brain EQ, and they go, oh, okay, I kind of get that. So emotional intelligence was, he wrote this book, and this book was now been on Time Magazine. They have the top 25 most influential business books of all time, and it's number 5 of all time. And you know, nowadays Daniel Goleman's still going at it, and he's still coming up with more and more some amazing stuff. Now he's talking about how important failure is. How cool is that? How important failure is. One of the biggest terms in emotional intelligence now is resilience. You ever had bad things happen at work? You ever lost a big sale, or lost a good employee, or had really bad things happen, or you're not making it, you're panicking, right? How do you get through that? How do you deal with it? How do you come back around? How do you learn from what happened to you and become stronger, not weaker, not victim, not blamer, not, you know, not trash like this, but you go, no, I can do this, and come through it in a positive way. It's called resilience, and it's also called, one of the hottest terms now in EQ, it's a funny term, but I love it, it's called grit. Grit. It's just being able to keep going even when it's tough. It's really tough, and you still go, and you still learn, and you still be okay, and you still be positive, and you still be loving. How do you do that in the midst of panic? It's pretty amazing, but it's super, super important. And like I said, Daniel Goleman now does consulting for firms like Google. You may have heard of them. We're on Google Hangouts right now. And Google has first up, they have a chief happiness officer, which I think is amazingly cool. And secondly, he's saying to these guys, okay, you guys have the highest IQs of anybody on the planet. The Google engineers are like unreal, as you can imagine. They've got the best of the best in IQ. But some of them are going to fail. Some of them are going to do okay. Some of them are going to become managers and do fairly well. And some of them are going to kick butt. So they all have amazing IQ. So what's the difference? Well, the difference is, and they have scientifically shown this over and over and over again, the difference is they have higher EQ, and they know what to do with it. And it's the basis of success. So here is another slide which tells more practically. I'm talking about all these concepts and stuff, but in a more practical level, here's some of the things that on a day-to-day basis that can affect you and me in by using our EQ. So I know you like this slide. Why don't you share some about this?
I do. I mean, just the whole emotional intelligence is the foundation for critical skills. I'm really, I would say, quite balanced for the most part in my left brain and right brain, but there was a point in time in my life and my career that I was so left-brained, and I looked at this and I thought, oh, for EQ to be the decision-making and the choosing tolerance and teamwork and empathy, and it really gave me another perspective on myself when I saw when I looked back to see some of the things that I had done that were so very EQ, and merging them into the IQ environment, because I managed a few high-performing teams. And I realized that in order to reach them, I had to go to a place that was someplace other than the systems and processes that I was teaching everyone. I was like, the systems and processes are to make your life easy. You don't have to think about what do I do next. But how do you communicate what you do need to the person that you need it from? And you can't do it from I need this because it's on my list, which is how some people were doing. I was like, you have to learn how to come to the other side of that. Get a little creative. Put some personality in it. And a lot of the things that you showed on that tree were the other side of the coin that I was teaching to my teams. And so, yeah, without even knowing that it was EQ, many of us are in fact doing and being in this space. And so you're bringing this out and showing the components of it so that we really can see and go into a retrospective view and determine how close we've intertwined in that or not, and then really bring it into more of the frontal framework of what it is that we're doing.
Yep, right on. Yep. It's just about managing and understanding and perceiving and using our emotions for our benefit, because we don't very sometimes, and doing that changes everything. So, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what was that slide? That slide looked really interesting. What was that slide that you just had? A circle and then the rings, the pillars around it. You want to go over that?
This one?
Yes.
Just like you said, it's just about being aware of and being understanding of and managing and using our emotions to benefit us, and to benefit our business, and to benefit our family, and to benefit our life. It's just integrating, i.e., your right brain emotions with your left brain logic. It's that simple. I mean, that's way oversimplified, but that's all it is, really. So there's a lot of...
Is that sort of a depiction of left brain, right brain, with left brain being, we've analyzed it and we perceive it a certain way, and then whatever the lower one was, and then the other side was being aware of them and using emotions? Is that more the right brain kind of thinking?
It is. I don't think that slide was specifically meant to be left and right brain, but
okay.
Here's another one that can maybe describe it a little bit better. Is that we have what, like I said earlier, some people call them positive emotions, some people call them and negative emotions. Some people don't like that, but basically you start with an upward spiral. You're either going on an upward spiral or you're going on a downward spiral, and it's about being aware again, accepting, and again deciding to take some action to either continue the cycle, the spiral, or to change it if you can. Understanding all that is a huge part of all of this. So if you start off with at the bottom and spiral on up, you can consciously find positives. We call it, this is a great one because we call it spin it to win it, which means that you find good, find positive, find the lesson, find the blessing in whatever's happening to you. You don't, it's not what's happening to you, it's what's happening for you, if you want to put it that way. And it might be something very painful, it might be something that you didn't choose, but there's lessons there, and there's information there, and there's hope there, and there's love there, and there's ways to make that work for you with resilience and grit and that sort of thing, or to take whatever happens and start on your downward spiral if you want. I mean, that's what happens. A lot of times it connects into big feelings from our childhood, the meanings and belief systems that we've created as a kid in order to make sense of the world, and we'll attach to that, and we'll start heading down in a downward spiral, and it can get ugly. It can get real ugly, and eventually, the worst is about depression, because depression means that you're kind of overloaded, you've been hurt a lot probably, you're probably very angry and don't have anything to do with it, or don't not aware of it, or not accepting of it, and don't know what to do with it. That kind of thing, and your body starts shutting down, your system starts shutting down, and it turns into depression, and it can be, life-threatening, literally. I mean, I read a statistic the other day that 1 million people a year commit suicide. Can you believe that? 1 million people! I was just shocked. The number of combat veterans that we've had that come back from the war, we've lost the last 3 years. We lost more people to suicide, mostly guys, to suicide than we did in combat. That's just absurd. That's just, I mean, bottom line, that is the most specific thing I could think of that points to, you got to deal with your emotions. We have to deal with our emotions, and literally have to. Usually it's like, well, you don't have to. Well, if you don't, yeah, I guess you don't have to, but it could be, like I said, life-threatening. So learn about your emotions, and learn about how how to spin the good ones up, and how to stop the spinning down. And it doesn't mean avoiding them necessarily. It doesn't mean, oh well, I'll just focus on the positive and that's all. No, sometimes it's about what we call, Cynthia's favorite is feel it to heal it. And that's the workshop that we've been doing for 30 years. That's the basis of the whole thing. It's very simple what we do. We have people go back in their childhood and feel their real big feelings, their big sadness, their big anger, and their big fear. And that's about it. And by doing that, it just changes, it can change everything for people, because it gets stuck in there, our feelings get stuck in there, our belief systems about who we are and how we fit into the world, and how we don't, that kind of thing gets stuck in there. And by unraveling that and allowing ourselves, our inner child, if you will, to finally express and release some of this just horrible pain that's in the little kid, didn't have anything to do with all that stuff. Finally, we as big you allows little me to feel what I need to feel. Woo! Everything. It's amazing how much change there can be. And we've had numerous people say, this saved my life, because they didn't know what to do with their feelings. Now they do. Okay. All right. Okay, I can deal with that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Cynthia says, no feeling, no healing. So you have to feel it to heal it. Yeah. And, when you think about it, that is truly what the thinking was around going to a therapist or a psychiatrist. You were going to be able to feel what it was, so that you knew how to identify what that feeling was, and then in doing that process, be able to release it. And,
Mm-hmm.
I know that you and I have talked a lot about the space of taking responsibility for these
Mm-hmm.
emotions and taking responsibility to push yourself through this process so that when you get on the other side and you start, seeing what comes up, you know that you're in choice. That being in a space of not knowing, thus I have no responsibility for it, the days are gone. And there are so many of us who are at risk, even as adults. And it's staggering to think about the number of people committing suicide. I had no
Yeah.
idea that statistic was that high. Now, what I did know was that it was increasing. And one of the things, I guess about 20 years ago, I had a friend of mine who, she and her husband, they looked like everything was fine. And because she was my girlfriend, I thought I was close enough with her where things looked like, even to her, that things were fine. And as it turned out, it was like one night out of the blue, they had kids, little kids and everything, and they lived in a high rise. He went up to the roof and jumped off and left a note so they know, they know what happened. But then, there's another piece of this too, is that there are people who really don't want these statistics to get out there because of whatever reason, and they would rather have them to be, drug related or, gang related or something like that to support another opportunity for themselves versus it being something emotional, and something really that has a more or less easy solution, an easy place to go to get the answers. You mentioned it. It's work to get it out. It's
It's
work.
simple. It's not easy.
There you go. There you go. It's
Yep.
simple.
It feel
Not
it to heal it is super simple, but it's not easy. In fact, it's can be sometimes the hardest thing you will ever do in your life. And the good part about that, though, if you want to spin it to win it, is that once you allow yourself to feel these things, it gives you permission to yourself. It gives you awareness. It gives you acceptance. It gives you the some hope. It gives you the faith in yourself and a belief and a confidence in yourself that I should say I, not you, but I have found that that once I understood that I can deal with my deepest, darkest, nastiest crap inside of me, I can deal with that. Then anything that comes at me, I can deal with that. I mean, that's the ultimate confidence, isn't it? Anything. If I can deal with my fear, my anger, and my sadness, there just isn't that much that life can throw at me that I can't handle.
Yes. Yes. And that's the whole responsibility piece too. And when you stand
Mm-hmm.
in your responsibility, giving yourself permission to be responsible, own it. It's like, it's mine. Regardless of how I got it, it's mine. Now, what are you going to do with it? And there
Mm-hmm.
you stand in choice. Well, I want to find out where it came from. I want to find out what it is. Well, that's a choice. Take an action. You talked about the action that's required. And then when
Or
you
not.
do, or not, that's a decision. That's a choice. But what would it be like to be on the other side of that? And standing in the light and knowing exactly what you just said, I have choice. I can do this. The confidence. Yeah, you said it. Awareness.
Well,
Hope.
I read an awesome quote. I read an awesome quote this morning. It says, "The greatest day in your life and mine is when we take responsibility for our attitudes. That is the day we truly grow up." John Maxwell.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have one of the biggest EQ sites on the planet. As far as I know, it is the biggest one on LinkedIn. And we had 55,000 people in it, something like that, and very, very, very active. And I help manage that site and some other ones. And I posted this as a quote on there, and it's just phenomenal. I thought, yes, the greatest day in my life is when I can take responsibility for my attitudes. And really, that's about taking responsibility for your feelings and your thoughts and your feelings, both. That's how we be in charge of our life. And otherwise, we're not. Otherwise, we're victim, whiner, blamer. Blah, no fun. No bueno.
I agree. Wow. So tell us, Matt, what have you got that people can connect with you into? I know that you are putting together a course for entrepreneurs called EQ 101 for Entrepreneurs. Tell us a little bit about your course.
Alrighty. Okay. Well, we're going to start at the beginning and do some awareness and figure out what's going on with you and being able to understand the different feelings, being able to separate them and that kind of thing. So some awareness. We're going to do some acceptance, and then the action part is a huge part of it. I've got tons of resources. I found another white paper yesterday. I'll be happy to post it up here about that describes EQ in the workplace. EQ at work is one of the hottest subjects on the planet because it is based on dollars. When it gets down to dollars, then you get their attention, right? But we found that IQ plus EQ, actually, they scientifically, again, have done tons of research to show that people with higher EQ are more successful. They make, average of $16,000 a year more than people with low EQ. How about that? By the numbers. They're better team leaders. They're better, all the way down the line. And so we'll go into. I've got a bunch of resources and stuff in the class. I've got videos. University of Pennsylvania is doing some fabulous work on resilience and grit and how to take that and put it into your daily life, that sort of thing, and how to translate that into your business, your success, your goals, your intention, your motivation, your team, all that kind of stuff. So I think we've got a powerful combination there.
Well, that's amazing. I know that the course is still under construction, but people can go to, let me see, eqrocks.com/EQ101 _4 entreps, ENTREPS, short for entrepreneurs, and get to the information page. I want you to go there and you'll see some additional information that you'll be able to get to immediately to help you to begin this journey into the world of understanding and expressing your EQ, increasing your EQ. And when the course is completed in construction, then we're going to make another announcement. We will probably do another hangout and really go through a little more around the details of the course so that all of our individuals here can come back and get a little more support and really have an opportunity to get into the course. There's going to be a major offering of the course. It's priced at $197, and we're going to make it available to this audience for $77. We've already set that up, so we want you to know that, because this is going to be something that is going to focus on things from the perspective of an entrepreneur. Now, with what it is that you'll learn from this perspective, you'll be able to build better relationships with clients and customers and your resources and your teams, as well as your families, spouses, kids, nieces, nephews, cousins, siblings. It just permeates out from there. And one of the things that we're also going to be including is giving you some incentive for introducing others to the EQ scenario. In introducing others to EQ, not only will it benefit you, but it's going to benefit Matt in his mission to get the word out, to spread the word about EQ, its benefits, from the inner peace perspective to the outer. Matt, help me out with this. From inner peace
No, sure.
to
Interpersonal peace, right?
yeah,
So,
interpersonal
yeah.
peace
So right?
to
It starts with inner peace for us. Then it starts. The next is our relationships, our connections. So it's interpersonal peace, and then once we're better with ourselves, what we found again scientifically is that if you're happier, you're going to be nicer. Chances are, the happier you are, the nicer you are. The more loving you are of yourself, the more loving you're going to be toward other people. So it works in relationships. It works socially. It's working as a big picture, and hopefully someday it'll work in the big picture, and that's EQ for world peace.
yes.
Says I.
And I thought this at first to be like this amazingly big, just outrageously big. I often do hairy, audacious goals, but this was like, wow, until I
Yeah.
really sat and thought about how key it is to just move from inner peace to interpersonal. It's like direct connections. And then with us being technology has allowed us to connect on a global level in such an easy way that it can go farther, easier. And Matt has just been amazing in how he's perceiving that this is going to go out to the world, and we're going to be incentivizing you to help do that. So just want to put that out there. And Matt, thank you for bringing this information to the Biz Info Zone show, because the social entrepreneurs are kind of already in that space. They know that there's something bigger than just doing money for the revenue. I mean, doing business for the revenue. They know that there are things beyond them that, just even a little bit of focus kind of shifts things to another level for them. And doing good in the world, that's what this is all about. How can you do good in the world when you haven't even healed your own life? So when we're in the state of personal healing and we get to the other side of that, honestly, some people are ready to shout that from the rooftops. And in shouting it from the rooftops, we want to help make sure that it gets heard, that EQ helped them to make those shifts. And because of that, Matt is really doing some amazingly focused work in the sector for entrepreneurs. And I'm just grateful to be a part of this, to help contribute to this, and how it's going to get disseminated out in the world, because it's too valuable. It's needed. I
Yeah.
could go on. And
Me too. I went to a conference last year, 6 Seconds put on in Boston, called Nexus EQ, and it was at Boston at Harvard Medical School. Did you know that Harvard has a Center for Emotional Intelligence? If you never heard the term before, you will. Yale has a Center for Emotional Intelligence. University of Pennsylvania, University of Chicago has Professor of Emotional Intelligence. That's the job title. Oxford has emotional intelligence department, et cetera, et cetera. It's just phenomenal what it's doing for and with and for people, for business, for academia, for all this stuff. And most of it is available. It's available. It just is. It's a knowledge, it's thoughts, it's skills, it's language, it's feelings, it's thought, it's values, it's attitudes. All that stuff is It's just available all the time. And if you want more, go get some more. You want to start EQ? Close your eyes and see what's going on inside of you, because what's happening inside of us spreads out into the world. And just a little tweak. I remember you said, about love and about giving and that kind of thing. We like to say, a lot of people like to say, well, we're giving and we don't expect anything in return, and we're loving and it's just for you, and we're doing this just for you. Well, honestly, in my opinion, it's not just for them. It's for us too, and there's a reason we're doing it, and it feels good. Why do we love? Because it feels good. Why do we smile? Because it feels good, and it helps other people come into that. People join us in that, and we give because it works. Really, it works for us. To be perfectly honest about it, it's not a self-centered thing, because, well, it kind of is, but it's saying I'm going to be the best me that I can be, and it's going to spread to other people, and that works for me because that works for me. So I'm all on about changing the world because it's fun, because it's because it works for everybody. Everybody wins if you do EQ. If you learn EQ, Len, if I will do better EQ, everybody wins. Everybody around me wins. I win. Everybody wins. I love that.
That's what we're talking about. I mean, I love the fact you shared a story about the two countries in South America, two bordering countries that were in, 100+ year war, and 1,000. Oh my God, yes. And they were able to resolve their differences and see the effect of EQ actually just kind of move out into both of the countries, into the people, and into, the government officials and those who, I mean, it has that potential. I see that. And for universities like Harvard and Oxford and those that you mentioned to pick up on, it's moving. And now is the time for those of us who are even curious about why we have this feeling about whatever it is. This is your opportunity, and we'd like to invite you to go to eqrocks.com and / EQ 101 _4 the number 4 _ entreps, ENTREPS, short for entrepreneurs, and check it out. Check out the information that's there. Check out the website. There's actually a link on that page to some additional resources that you can get that Matt's graciously giving at no cost. So do tap into it. Make that information available to yourself, and thank you for joining us today. EQRocks.com, EQ 101. Is that a dash or underscore?
Actually, I hope I got it right. Let me double check while you keep talking for a second.
Okay.
I'll double check.
Okay. Yes. And you will get more information around what we were talking about today, more around the 3 levels of the 3 key elements of EQ for entrepreneurs: awareness, acceptance, and action, taking action or not. I know that he goes into the 3 steps of good to good emotional health and 7 steps to healing negative feelings. Wouldn't you like to heal some negative feelings? 4 steps to learning. If EQ can help you learn more easily, especially for our kids. As an entrepreneur who's managing, and I know there are a lot of women in that space who are managing business and family, wouldn't it be wonderful to learn this for yourself first, put your own oxygen mask on first, and then you can help others and be able to
that's a good one.
Kids the same thing. Yeah.
That's great. Put your own oxygen mask on first. That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
So if you just go to eqrocks.com, it's on the front page. It doesn't matter what link I made it, but just go to, it's easier.
Well, great. I want to thank our audience for joining us today. for my guest, Matt Perelstein, for being here. You can see how to contact Matt on the screen. You can even email him at matt@eqrocks.com, or you can go through the Biz Info Zone show and post right here on this event page or on the YouTube page and let us know your thinking around what it is that you're looking for, and let us get you in here and help spread the word. Okay? Thanks, Matt. Thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Thank
lady.
everyone for joining us today.
EQ rocks.
EQ rocks.
It does. It really does.
We've been here with the EQ dude rocking EQ. So check it out, eqrocks.com. You've been in the zone, the Biz Info Zone, and I'm V. Lynn Hawkins, your host. Thanks for joining us today, and come back next week when we have oh my gosh, we're going to be doing some YouTube stuff. We're going to be optimizing YouTube. So if you do Google Hangouts yourself, you want to do Google Hangouts, if you're playing out in YouTube and you want to learn more, my friend Jason Hodge is going to be here to give us some additional insights into optimizing the use of YouTube. So thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.